June 6, 1944, 3:30 a.m., Southwick House, Portsmouth, England. Rain lashes against the windows of the Allied Command Headquarters. The wind howls across the English Channel, churning the dark waters that thousands of ships are preparing to cross. Inside a dimly lit room, cigarette smoke hangs heavy in the air. Maps of Normandy cover the walls. Red pins mark beaches with names that will soon echo through history: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, Sword. General George S. Patton stands rigid beside a long wooden table, ivory-handled pistol strapped to his hips, polished helmet resting under his arm. His jaw is clenched, his eyes burn with something more than anticipation. Outside, the largest invasion force in human history waits for the weather to break. Patton is not in command of the landings, and that is precisely the point. Across the Channel, Adolf Hitler sleeps in the Berghof, high in the Bavarian Alps. He believes the main Allied invasion will strike at Pas-de-Calais. His intelligence reports confirm it. His generals insist it. And one name keeps appearing in intercepted communications: General George S. Patton. To Hitler, Patton is not just another American officer. He is the one he fears most. Months earlier, January 1943, Casablanca Conference, Morocco. The North African sun beats down on Allied airfields as Patton strides across the tarmac in mirrored sunglasses. Just weeks before, American forces were humiliated at the Battle of Kasserine Pass. Green U.S. troops had been mauled by Field Marshal Erwin Rommel's Afrika Korps. Morale shattered, confidence shaken. Patton arrives like a thunderclap. He fines officers for untidy uniforms. He orders soldiers to wear ties in the desert heat. He demands helmets at all times. Military police appear at road junctions to redirect stragglers back to the front. Then he attacks. On March 6, 1943, Second Corps slams into German positions at El Guitar. American artillery thunders. M4 Sherman tanks advance across rocky Tunisian terrain. When German panzers counterattack, Patton's forces hold firm. 30 German tanks are destroyed in a single engagement. Rommel himself takes notice. For the first time, American troops don't break. They push. By May, Axis forces in North Africa collapse. Over 250,000 German and Italian troops surrender. It is one of the largest capitulations of the war. Berlin receives the reports. Hitler studies them carefully. He has read Patton's speeches. He has seen photographs of the hard-faced American with pearl-handled revolvers and a swagger that borders on theatrical. Hitler respects aggression. He respects audacity, and Patton radiates both. July 1943, Sicily. Allied forces invade the island in Operation Husky. British General Montgomery advances from the east. Patton commands the U.S. 7th Army landing near Gela. German counterattacks erupt almost immediately. Panzer divisions surge toward the beaches. Naval guns from American cruisers fire point-blank over the heads of infantry. Sand explodes. Tanks burn. The air smells of cordite and diesel. Patton refuses to sit back. When Montgomery's advance stalls near Mount Etna, Patton sees opportunity. Without waiting for permission, he launches a bold drive west toward Palermo. His armored columns race across 100 miles of rugged terrain in just 72 hours. Italian resistance crumbles. Palermo falls on July 22nd. Then Patton pivots east, beginning a brutal race against Montgomery for Messina, the gateway off Sicily. His men fight through mountain passes, ambushes, demolished bridges. Engineers rebuild roads under sniper fire. Infantry climb steep ridges under mortar bombardment.
On August 17, 1943, Patton enters Messina. He beats the British. The island is secured. But thousands of German troops escape across the Strait of Messina to mainland Italy, an evacuation so orderly it impresses even Allied observers. In the Wolf's Lair headquarters in East Prussia, Hitler listens as reports describe the American general's speed. "Dieser Patton," one officer mutters. "This Patton." Hitler knows something critical. Patton moves fast, faster than doctrine predicts, faster than German commanders expect, and speed, in war, is terror. Yet in July 1943, Patton nearly destroys himself. Inside a field hospital in Sicily, he encounters a young private suffering from combat fatigue, what today would be called PTSD. The soldier trembles. He cannot speak. He cannot return to the front. Patton explodes. He slaps the soldier, calls him a coward, threatens to shoot him. The incident spreads like wildfire. Journalists report it. Washington is outraged. General Eisenhower is furious. Patton apologizes publicly. Privately, he's removed from frontline command. To many, his career appears finished. But in Berlin, German intelligence reaches a different conclusion. They study American newspapers carefully. They monitor radio chatter. They analyze troop movements in England in early 1944. And what they see convinces them of something extraordinary. Patton is being hidden. Why hide a general unless he's about to strike? Spring 1944, southeast England. Inflatable tanks line empty fields. Wooden aircraft sit on fake runways. Radio operators transmit endless false signals. Double agents feed Berlin carefully crafted lies. At the center of it all, 1st U.S. Army Group, FUSAG, and its commander, General George S. Patton. It's a phantom army, a deception force, a ghost poised across from Pas-de-Calais. German aerial reconnaissance photographs the buildup. Intercepts confirm it. Hitler personally orders the 15th Army to remain in Calais to repel the coming assault. He refuses to release panzer divisions even after Allied troops land in Normandy on June 6 because he's convinced the real attack is still coming, and Patton will lead it. Back at Southwick House, the storm begins to clear. The decision is made. Eisenhower gives the order. The invasion begins. Yet even as American, British, and Canadian troops fight for survival on the beaches of Normandy, German High Command hesitates. They wait for Patton. They fear Patton. The question is no longer whether he's dangerous. The question is whether Hitler truly believed George S. Patton was the Allies' most formidable weapon. And, if so, what did that fear cost Germany?
June 7th, 1944. Dawn breaks over the chalk cliffs of Dover, England. A thin fog clings to the coastline, swirling in ghostly ribbons over the channel. Soldiers shuffle through muddy fields, dragging inflatable tanks behind them, while radio operators transmit endless coded messages into the mist. Everywhere the air is thick with anticipation and the metallic tang of machinery. This is no ordinary military assembly. It is the 1st U.S. Army Group, FUSAG, a phantom army created to deceive Hitler. Its commander, the legendary George S. Patton, strides through the encampment with his customary confidence. Polished boots sink into the wet earth. His eyes, sharp and calculating, scan the field. Troops salute as he passes. Tanks, artillery, and even trucks are painted in bold patterns, but the real genius lies in the illusion. Most are inflatable, hollow decoys, their turrets swaying in the wind.
Every detail is engineered to fool German reconnaissance. Dummy landing craft sit on the beaches. Wooden planes are parked in the open, waiting to take off. Radio chatter is deliberately exaggerated. Agent provocateurs whisper rumors to German spies. Every movement is meticulously choreographed. Patton's reputation for aggressive action ensures that Hitler's spies report with dread. Berlin receives the reports. Hitler pores over them in the Berghof, tracing lines on maps with trembling fingers. Patton is massing forces at Calais, he mutters. He will strike there. He must be stopped. Even seasoned generals in the Wehrmacht are swayed by the phantom threat of Patton's army. Panzer divisions that could have turned the tide in Normandy remain frozen in place, tied down by the phantom threat of Patton's army. The Allies' gamble hinges entirely on one man's legend, his speed, his audacity, his sheer ability to make the Germans believe he could strike anywhere. Meanwhile, Patton plays the role of both general and actor. Photographers capture images of him inspecting troops, waving from jeeps, standing on tanks with his pearl-handled pistols glinting in the sun. News of his presence filters back through intelligence channels, deliberately exaggerated. Patton even makes radio appearances to send false orders, creating the illusion of massive operational planning. And it works. Across the Channel, German commanders remain paralyzed by indecision. Rommel himself argues for moving reserves to Normandy, warning that the real invasion might already be underway. Hitler refuses. He cannot risk leaving Patton's army unchecked. Months of reports, reconnaissance, and intelligence suggest that every move Patton makes is a prelude to catastrophe. The psychological impact is as significant as any artillery barrage. Patton, aware of the deception's effect, smiles privately. War, he knows, is as much about perception as it is about firepower. His own persona has become a weapon. In letters to his wife, he describes the operation with a mix of dry humor and strategic insight. He is in command, yet he is also untouchable, a phantom general leading a ghost army. On the night of June 6th, as Normandy burns and Allied soldiers fight for each foot of beach, German intelligence continues to relay frantic reports to Hitler. Every message emphasizes the looming threat of Patton's forces. By the time the Allies break through the hedgerows inland, the panzer divisions that could have reinforced the front are still stranded near Calais. Entire German units remain frozen by fear, convinced that the attack is only a diversion. It is a psychological victory of staggering proportions. Hitler's obsession with Patton, the one man he believes to be unstoppable, has reshaped the battlefield without a single shot fired by the phantom army. And yet, as Patton prepares to finally cross into France with his real forces, he is more than just a tool of deception. He is about to prove once again why his reputation, earned in North Africa, Sicily, and now in England, terrifies even the Führer himself. Because in war, legends can move faster than tanks, and fear can freeze armies in place.
July 25, 1944. Saint-Lô, Normandy, France. The morning sun struggles to pierce the smoke rising from the shattered hedgerows. Explosions echo in the distance, punctuating the screams of artillery shells and the thunder of tanks. Mud clings to boots, and the scent of cordite hangs thick in the air. This is the real battlefield, the one where Patton's legend will finally meet reality. General George S. Patton rides at the head of his Third Army, helmet polished, riding gloves gripping the reins of a dust-covered jeep. Behind him, columns of Sherman tanks,
Half-tracks and trucks stretch for miles, engines churning the wet earth. Soldiers cheer as he passes, calling his name, but there is no time for fanfare. Every mile forward is a battle. Every ridge and village has been fortified by desperate German defenders. Patton's eyes are relentless, scanning for opportunities. Intelligence reports suggest that German forces are still fragmented, hesitant from the earlier deception. Yet pockets of fierce resistance remain. Patton knows speed is the key. Hesitation could allow the enemy to regroup. "Lead me, and I'll show you how war is won," he tells his staff, the words both command and promise. Across Normandy, Hitler's earlier miscalculations begin to bear fruit. The panzer divisions that could have halted Patton's advance remain pinned near Calais. The German High Command watches reports of tanks and infantry moving like shadows across the bocage and refuses to commit reinforcements. Hitler himself is obsessively monitoring the radio intercepts, still convinced that Patton's main strike is elsewhere. His indecision costs the German army precious days, days that Patton exploits with ruthless efficiency. By July 27th, Patton's Third Army has broken through German defensive lines near Avranches. His tanks roar through gaps in the hedgerows, rolling with such velocity that German forces cannot organize coherent counterattacks. American artillery pounds retreating units, while fighter bombers strafe roads clogged with panicked enemy vehicles. The advance is nearly cinematic, a storm of steel, mud, and fire, led by the man Hitler fears more than any other. The psychological impact is as profound as the physical. Reports reach Berlin describing a general who moves faster than anyone anticipated, who strikes where the enemy least expects, and who seems unstoppable. Hitler's obsession deepens. Every dispatch about Patton reinforces his fear. This is the man capable of cutting Germany in two, capable of turning chaos into conquest. Meanwhile, Patton's men are exhilarated and exhausted. Soldiers note his unorthodox leadership. He visits frontline units, inspects positions under fire, and personally directs maneuvers. His presence alone galvanizes troops. In letters home, men describe seeing a general who rides alongside them into hell, who does not merely issue orders, but leads them. By early August, Patton's Third Army has reached the Loire River. French towns that had been occupied for 4 years see liberation. Civilians pour into the streets, cheering the Americans. Yet for Patton, there is no time to celebrate. Germany's heartland lies ahead, and every day wasted allows Hitler's war machine to regroup. Back in the Reich, Hitler rages. Intelligence reports are fragmented, confusing, and delayed. Patton is everywhere and nowhere, a whirlwind of tanks and infantry striking faster than German calculations allow. Berlin's leaders whisper, if Patton had been leading the main invasion at Normandy, we would be finished. It is this mixture of speed, audacity, and sheer tactical brilliance that cements Patton's reputation, not only as a brilliant commander, but as the man the Führer feared above all others. Every town liberated, every German unit bypassed is a psychological dagger into Hitler's belief that he can contain the Allied advance. Patton knows his legend precedes him, but he refuses to let it slow him. He drives forward relentlessly, understanding that fear in the enemy's mind can be as powerful as any artillery barrage. And as his tanks roll through the French countryside, one truth becomes undeniable. Hitler's obsession with Patton was not paranoia. It was recognition of the sheer force of a general who turns warfare into art.
August 19th, 1944. Paris, France. The city is alive with celebration. French citizens pour into the streets, waving tricolors, cheering the liberators who have driven the German occupiers from the heart of their capital. Tanks rumble down the boulevards, carrying soldiers whose faces are smeared with dirt and sweat, yet radiate triumph. At the center of it all rides a general whose reputation has grown larger than any city he now passes, George S. Patton. But the liberation of Paris is only a small part of a much larger campaign. Patton's Third Army presses eastward with relentless fury, slicing through the German lines as if they were paper. Panzer divisions that could have mounted effective counterattacks are still scattered, misallocated, or frozen in place, victims of Hitler's fixation on Patton. Entire German corps remain stranded, waiting for an assault that never comes, convinced that Patton is poised to strike elsewhere. Inside the Führer bunker, Hitler's obsession with Patton has taken on a near-mythical dimension. Reports describe a man who moves faster than any army should be able to move, whose audacity defies comprehension, whose reputation alone can paralyze enemy commands. Hitler rages as he studies maps, desperately trying to anticipate Patton's next move, yet every calculation is delayed by fear. Every hesitation costs Germany. Every delay allows the Allies to advance further into the Reich. The psychological warfare is as devastating as any battlefield victory. Patton's reputation, his swagger, his speed, his unpredictability forces Hitler and his generals into defensive postures. Entire operations are postponed. Panzer divisions capable of striking critical blows remain idle. German commanders whisper among themselves, questioning Hitler's judgment, yet none dare act without orders. Patton has weaponized his legend. September 12, 1944, Metz, France. Patton's forces engage in brutal combat against entrenched German defenders. The fighting is fierce, the loss is heavy, but the momentum never falters. Every town captured, every road secured is a testament to a general whose operational brilliance is matched only by his ability to exploit fear in the enemy's mind. Reports from frontline officers describe a man who rides among them, issuing orders, inspecting positions under fire, pushing his men to unimaginable feats. And while soldiers fight and die in the mud of the French countryside, Hitler's obsession with Patton continues to shape strategy. Decisions are made not on logic but on paranoia. Armies remain pinned in Calais, reinforcements fail to reach threatened sectors. The Third Army exploits every delay, moving faster than the Germans can respond. By October, Patton's army crosses into Germany. Cities fall with startling speed. German resistance stiffens, but nowhere near what it could have been. Military historians later conclude that Patton's legend and Hitler's fear of him directly contributed to thousands of German soldiers being trapped, outmaneuvered, or destroyed because of delayed orders. Patton himself rarely acknowledges this psychological impact. To him, it is simply war as it should be fought, boldly, decisively, and without hesitation. Yet the evidence is unmistakable. Hitler, consumed by the dread of one man, has allowed entire strategies to unravel. December 16, 1944, Ardennes Forest. As the Battle of the Bulge erupts, Patton demonstrates once again why Hitler's fear was justified. Despite treacherous winter conditions, he executes a masterful flank maneuver, racing to relieve besieged Allied forces in Bastogne. Tanks cut through snow, artillery roars, and infantry march over frozen roads. Hitler's plan to split the Allies collapses, in part because he underestimated the speed and decisiveness of the general he feared most. By the war's end, Patton's legend is firmly cemented. Soldiers speak of him in reverent tones, generals acknowledge his tactical brilliance, and in the annals of history, one question remains: did Hitler fear Patton?
The evidence suggests more than mere respect. It suggests terror. Fear of a man who moved faster, struck harder, and imagined bolder than anyone in Berlin dared to anticipate. George S. Patton, the man Hitler could not ignore, the man whose very presence altered the course of history.